KGNNoxville.com.
Listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Basilio Festivus 2026, is that a good name for today's show, John?
That's the name that Tony likes, and it's his show. I wouldn't choose it. I think it's a bit trite, but That's what Tony likes, so we kind of do what he likes. It's his show, and I think that's fair. Tony's away, but even when Tony's away, he wants the show to be all about Tony.
That's right. Yeah. Of course, yeah. And so,
as he reminds me many times when I'll suggest something, he says, okay, but it's my show. And so I back off. That's just the way we roll here.
Sounds good. So, Basilio Festivus 2026, 865-200-5402. Brian Hartman, John Adams, and Matt Dixon eventually joining will fill in for him today. Bino and myself will fill in for him tomorrow. And then I think his next show, Monday on Terra Firma, back in Terra Firma, as he likes to say, back home after several weeks in the Northeast, in the dirty North.
How long has he been in the Northeast? Do you have an idea?
He's practically taken up residence there. He went up there the last weekend of June for a wedding, and he hasn't been back since.
I wonder if they're still celebrating that wedding.
They're going to celebrate him probably coming home.
Gosh, can you imagine? Can you imagine how tired they are of him? And, you try to be nice, but after a while, you just got to be thinking, will he please ever leave? Because Tony's a great guy. People love Tony, but small doses. You just don't. He doesn't wear well is what I'm saying. I mean, we come in and do a show, and he's great. But I don't want to spend the rest of the day with him. These people, it's almost like they're hostages there with him.
And he didn't get to go up there last year, so they've got double of him this year.
I know. It's almost like he planned that. So next year, I'll just see if I can stay as long as I can.
Right. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back on the other side, 865-200-5402. Air some grievances if you want. If you don't, that's fine, too. We'll be back on the other side right after this.
Life never stops moving. And between the 30-minute commutes, daycare pickups, weekly soccer practice, Tuesday night yoga, X number of coffee runs, and that weekend trip to Grandma's, you're racking up the miles. What you need is a tire that can keep up. A tire designed for doers. A tire that's going to last. Like the exceptionally long-lasting Michelin Defender tire. With an 80,000-mile warranty and the safety and comfort you expect, you can forget all about the miles ahead and focus on getting to your destination or conquering your to-do list. Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. That's Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. Fleet Tire.
The High Noon line of hard seltzers is always a winner and always next level. High Noon vodka seltzers come in 14 flavors with real vodka and real fruit juice. Only 100 calories with no sugar added, and it's gluten-free.
Personally, I'm partial black cherry and pineapple.
14 flavors.
That's as many bad takes as I've got in a week.
In the mood for a kick? Try High Noon vodka iced tea in 6 refreshing flavors,
including peach and lemon, green tea, and half and half.
Feeling adventurous? Check out High Noon tequila seltzer in 6 refreshing flavors, including my favorite, blood orange. High Noon Real Vodka, real fruit juice. Live like the sun is always out.
Brought to you by High Noon Spirits Company. Must be 21 and over to enjoy responsibly.
Are you tired of hiding your smile because of crooked teeth? At Knoxville Smiles, we've got the perfect solution. Invisalign. No metal, no wires. Just clear, comfortable aligners that straighten your teeth without anyone noticing. Eat what you want, smile with confidence, and see results in as little as 6 months. Call us today for more information about Invisalign, 865-539-1776. Or just visit us online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Baseball fans, it's time to step up to the plate. Look your best. Get some new Tennessee gear from Alumni Hall. Alumni Hall has the best selection. Top brands for you to choose from this season. Look, it's nice and warm outside. So get into any of their 6 air-conditioned East Tennessee locations. Shop online, download the app, grab your Tennessee baseball jersey, your hat, your decal, maybe a T-shirt, and they have so much more. Earn $10 in rewards for every $150 you spend. Go Vols and shop Alumni Hall, your ultimate Tennessee shopping destination. Touch them all with Alumni Hall. When it's time for a fresh coat of paint, run, don't walk. The Walker's Painting, interior and exterior. Walker's Painting's been making it beautiful since 1999 across the Knoxville area. New construction, repaints, commercial, residential, free estimates available. And get this, mention you heard Walker's Painting on the Basilio show, 10% off your first job. Let's go. Run, don't walk. The Walker's Painting, 865-688-1410. That's 865-688-1410. Walker's Painting, making it beautiful since 1999. Check out the ad at the blog at tclub.team. Walker's Painting.
Inward Half is committed to the game and the memorable moments that happen in between. From the tee box to the tailgate, from the green to the big game. For the first birdie with Dad, the first big win with Mom. Friday night lights, Saturday superstitions, Sunday traditions. Fall into the comfort and unparalleled performance of Inward Half. This fall, enjoy the walk-in.
Are you currently a residential electrician? Would you like more benefits, better pay, more upside? What about $8,000 free company paid health insurance, annual profit share, company vehicle, gas card, much more? Call Advent Electric today. Advent, known for their large commercial jobs around town, and due to high demand, they're adding additional roles for their residential department. Maybe you know a friend, family member that's a residential electrician. Spread the word. Email hr@adventelectric.com. hr@adventelectric.com. 865-588-0631. And ask for the Tony B 3K signing bonus. Advent Electric is hiring.
It's the hottest post-game show on the planet. Garza Law. Fifth quarter fan reaction. Fan reaction. As soon as the final gun sounds, we're live.
With Gary Sturm. He's with Mortgage Investors Group, making our community a better place every day. Gary, you've been at it 32 years, man.
Yes, Tony, I've been at Mortgage Investors Group for 32 years. We've known each other since, well, back in the 80s, right?
And we've gotten to know each other recently as our family has gotten involved with another mortgage. Through that whole process, you were a prince, just like Jeker. When he called you at 3 o'clock in the morning after a Tennessee loss, you've been giving your phone number out for a couple decades. And why is that, Gary?
This is the biggest financial decision you're ever going to make. You don't want to trust somebody online, some 800 number. You want to call somebody like myself that's going to give you my number, and you can call me anytime. I'm there to help you. I'm there to help you and your family, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your trust in me. You can call me anytime. You can be like Jeker and call me at 2 in the morning and complain about the Vols just like he did. I'd rather you call me about a mortgage, but that's okay. If you want to cry about the Vols, we can do that too. I'm a Vol at heart. You know that. And if you want to come in and meet with me face to face, I'm here. If you want to do it online, I'm here. That's fine. If you're curious if you can qualify to buy a house, people know the housing market's tough. That's what I'm here for. There's no obligation. You can call me anytime. I get you pre-qualified. Or maybe you've got a mortgage and you're thinking about refinancing. Maybe you want to shorten the term. Maybe you want to go to a 15-year. Who knows? But again, that's what I'm here for. It's what I've been here for 32 years. My number is 865-660-2648. It's 865-660-2648.
Gary Sturm at Mortgage Investors Group, going to take great care of you.
Got a plumbing or HVAC problem at home? Whether it's an AC that won't cool, a furnace acting up, a clogged drain, or a water heater problem, Pipe Wrench Home Services is ready to help. Right now, get 15% off any HVAC or plumbing repair when you schedule service with Pipe Wrench Home Services. Our licensed technicians are equipped to diagnose the issue, explain your options, and get the repair done right the first time. Don't let a small problem turn into a major headache. That strange noise from your air conditioner, the water heater that's not keeping up, or the drain that keeps backing up won't fix itself. The longer you wait, the bigger the problem can become. At Pipe Wrench Home Services, we make repairs simple with friendly technicians and fast, reliable service that you can count on. We'll arrive ready to identify the problem and get your home back to normal as quickly as possible. Take advantage of 15% off any HVAC or plumbing repair and schedule your appointment today at pipewrench.com. And as always, same-day service guaranteed or the visit is free. Restrictions may apply. Eligible for repairs up to $5,000. Visit pipewrench.com for details.
865-200-5402, the Thursday edition of Tony's Show. Mine is Tony today, and tomorrow John Adams in, Matt Dixon somewhere on the way. John, the latest coaches poll, the first one of the season, the 2026 season, is out. And before we get some Basilio Festivus going, 865-200-5402. Ohio State, no surprise, tops the poll. Oregon is 2. Georgia's the first SEC team ranked at number 3, followed by number 4, Texas. Notre Dame rounds out the top 5. Your thoughts?
When I look at the top 5, and I want to say this is kind of a prelude what we'll do later in the show. We're going to have a draft. Since everybody talks about the Big Ten SEC rivalry, it certainly favors the Big Ten right now, that Brian, Matt, and I will have a draft, and we'll draft in order, just our top, each have 5 teams, and just see how it kind of plays out, just picking amongst the Big Ten and the SEC. When I look at this poll, I think Texas is too low. I would have Texas number 1, but I can certainly see why Ohio State is 1. I think Georgia's a little high. Then Indiana a little low.
Yeah, that caught my attention. They're number 7.
Yeah.
They're number 6, actually.
Number 6, yeah.
Behind Notre Dame.
Then when you drop off behind the top ones, it's where it really gets kind of – and I understand with a lot of these teams, it's really hard, particularly in the middle of the SEC. I'm okay with Texas A&M being 8. Oklahoma number 9. I have Oklahoma number 8 in the SEC. So that's obviously, I think that's overrated. Ole Miss, I have a hard time with Ole Miss. They maybe have the best player in college football in Trinidad Chambliss at quarterback. I don't know. I just don't know about that team. That's a real questionable team. It could be a playoff team, and it could finish, in the middle of the SEC. Alabama at 11 to me is too high. 12, Texas Tech at 12 is too low. I think it'll win the Big 12 again. Back up a bit. Miami at number 7. When I look at Miami and I look at his schedule, of all these teams out here, I think Miami, if I'm just picking a team that can make the playoffs, not a national champion, but Miami, that schedule is set up. And adding Darian Mensah from Duke at quarterback, it has a dynamic offense, running back, wide receiver, and quarterback. So I think Miami is a little low. LSU at 13, low. Here's one that really sticks out to me. 14, Southern Cal. I think Southern Cal will make the playoff. I think it'll be the 4th best team in the Big Ten and make a playoff. I know it has a tough schedule, but this team is loaded offensively. And if Lincoln Riley can't make the playoff with this team, Southern Cal will probably hire somebody it thinks can make the playoff. Looking at the rest of this, Tennessee at 18, that's probably about right. I could see Tennessee doing better than that. I think most people, when they look at Tennessee, would pick Tennessee very ceiling 9-3, floor 7-5, 8-4 would probably be the safe pick. Penn State at 17 seems high. I don't think it's that good, but it's schedule.
The
If you
Matt
notice
Campbell
Penn
effect.
State- well, Matt Campbell has a good track record, but have you looked at Penn State's schedule? It's really
They don't play. Do they play Ohio State, Michigan?
no. They it's one of the easiest. Here's Penn State's schedule. I'm looking at. Okay, start off Marshall, Temple, Buffalo. It's 3-0. Wisconsin at home. It could win that game. At Northwestern, it could win that game. It's 5-0, and then it plays Southern Cal at home. There's no Indiana. There's no Ohio State.
Wow.
There's no Oregon.
We don't get to see Penn State, Ohio State for the first time in.
No, we don't. No. So Penn State, I don't really like when I look at their depth chart. I'm not enamored with it, but when I look at that schedule, I think, wow. I mean, it closes out the year Minnesota, Rutgers, Maryland. It could win all three of those games. It already said it could win its first 5. It's got Purdue in the middle. Penn State could go 9-3. So now when I look at that schedule,
They're better.
17 might be okay for them.
How do you know, really, with teams like Texas Tech and teams like that, Texas Tech and there was another team, Notre Dame, how do we know how good they are? Their schedules are just so soft.
Well, Notre Dame's schedule, I think we looked at Notre Dame last year. I thought it was a really good team, but it didn't deserve the playoff because it lost those games. It lost a home game to A&M. It lost to Miami. It didn't have enough good wins, so I don't have a problem with that, what happened last year. But it is a very talented team. It's got a good quarterback. C.J. Carr, Marcus Freeman has certainly built the talent on that roster. It's high talent. So when I look at Notre Dame's schedule and not playing Southern Cal, that's, to me, that's a travesty. That's always been one of my favorite games, outside the SEC. But I just think that schedule is so cushy. And this is a topic for another day, but I think it's ridiculous that Notre Dame, the selection committee just gives Notre Dame a pass and say if you're in the top 12 you're in the tournament. You're in the playoff. I just think it should be treated like any other independent. And that, but just a quick glance at the schedule. Wisconsin
in Lambeau Field.
Rice, Michigan State, at Purdue, North Carolina, Stanford. Good gosh.
Don't sleep on Michigan State. New coach, Pat Fitzgerald.
I like Pat Fitzgerald, but I don't think it's ready to beat Notre Dame. Certainly, I guess I'm looking here. Stanford, oh my gosh. At BYU. So far, that's a tough schedule. The other game is Miami, and you could say SMU. Miami's a toss-up. It's at South Bend. SMU and BYU are the others. It could lose to Miami, split with BYU and SMU, and be 10-2, and it will make the playoff. That's a cushier path than even Miami has to the playoffs. So, schedules factor so much into this. I thought, looking at the rest, one thing that surprised me, Missouri kind of sneaked into the top 25. It's at number 25. I don't know what to make of Missouri because I just wonder if Ahmad Hardy will be able to play. He was in that tragic shooting during the offseason. Tragic shooting's kind of redundant, isn't it? I mean, what shooting isn't tragic? But
unless you're shooting fireworks.
Unless you're shooting a good one. So Missouri, when you look at the SEC, even teams in the bottom half of the SEC, the teams that I project to finish in the bottom half of the SEC, Auburn, Missouri, and Florida. I would put Auburn ahead of Missouri. I thought Auburn's not mentioned in the top 25, but if you go back and look at what Auburn did last year, 6 of its 7 losses were one-score games, and then it had a 10-point loss. So it's got more talent than what its record showed. And now maybe if Alex Golish can do as well as he did at South Florida, maybe it'll be okay. So, anything strike you about it? About this time? What's the main, when you look at this, what sticks out to you?
Well, I just look at how, you have Georgia, Texas in the SEC, and then you have to go down to number 8 to see the next SEC team ranked, which is A&M. So it kind of tells me that there looks to be a gap between Georgia, Texas, and the rest of the league, maybe. We have some questions about Texas A&M. They were a playoff team last year, but they lose a good part of their offensive line. They're bringing back, I think, 2 out of 10 linemen who played last year at that position back. So there's questions there, although I think they have the quarterback and the skill players there. Oklahoma, they have to play Michigan on the road. Michigan's now coached by Kyle Whittingham. And how will that factor into their season? Michigan ranked 16th. That's probably about where they should be. They've got a quarterback who's like Brandon, who's like Faison Brandon, who is played as a true freshman, and we'll see if Tennessee can have a Faison, Bryce Underwood type performance out of Faison. Brandon.
Well, I would like to see Tennessee have a better performance out of Faison Brandon than Michigan did out of Bryce Underwood. When you looked at Bryce Underwood against better defense, particularly the one that he faced in Norman, Oklahoma, with Brent Venables' defense, he was really out of sorts. He really struggled against that defense.
That was only his third college start.
Yeah,
or
I
second.
know. But and Faison Brandon could get his 4th college start against Texas, which might be challenging. But Michigan. If you gave Michigan's Penn State schedule, of course it's going to play Ohio State. But if it didn't play Ohio State, it also did play Indiana. I mean, or Oregon. That would, a lot of teams would like Penn State's schedule. Let's see. Is Matt with us now?
No, Matt is out there somewhere. We're trying to find him, to locate him.
Okay, well, let's get back to this, and we'll do our Big Ten SEC draft. But let's talk a little bit about Tony, because there's nothing Tony likes better than people talking about Tony. So
even if it's bad stuff.
Yeah, but see, he just thinks of the bad stuff. Oh, they're just kidding. I promise you, when I air my grievances about Tony, I'm as serious as a human being could be. Texting Tony, calling Tony, you wait, and you wait, and then maybe you'll get a response. You know what I do now, Bri? I text Laura. I say, Laura, would you tell Tony this?
That's probably smart.
Well, yeah, so she is so reliable. I could see who holds this whole thing together. It's clearly Laura. So he doesn't, he just doesn't respond a lot of the time. So
he's picking his guitar in the park, John.
Well, yeah, and so Tony's always talking about show prep. That's probably the funniest thing he says. His idea of show prep is, well, I'll just say whatever outrageous thing pops into my head when it does pop into my head. That's how show prep comes into play. There are worse things to me than Tony not calling me back. I was shocked the other day when I called Tony, and he answered. Picked up the phone right away. He says, "You're on with me and Titans-Bill."
Oh, no.
So it was a 3-way conversation.
That you had no intention of talking to Titans-Bill.
No, but Titans-Bill, and I love Titans-Bill, but I actually had some business to conduct with Tony. Never mind. So, okay, but it's not really a 3-way conversation. It's a 4-way conversation, because Titans-Bill, what is it? Okay, Titans-Bill's television is on so loud. He's watching one of these shows that maybe 11, 12, 13 people in the country are watching. And it's so loud I can't hear anybody. So Tony requests Titans-Bill to turn down the volume on his TV set. So he's those are all things that irk me about Tony. Here's the way Tony thinks nothing of this, because when Tony's on air, that's what Tony thinks of as real life when he's on air. And that's when everything matters. When he's on air, this is important. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. He's multitasking. He's doing all this stuff. He's very creative. He's funny. He's good. But then when he's off air, he just doesn't care. It's like, well, none of this matters. This is just real life. What matters is the show. And I talked to Matt about this. Matt still hadn't joined us, has he?
No, we're still looking for him.
Okay. Well, Matt pointed out that I said, "What bothers you most about Tony?" And it's a long list, of course, but I mentioned a few of my things, and those are kind of generalities because we all experience that with Tony. Just lack of communication. Great communicator on air, but off air, maybe he'll get back to you at some point. Maybe he won't. You never know. But Matt pointed out that, so Tony's all involved now. He's got a Twitter feed going or X feed going. He's got YouTubers in here. And Matt thinks Tony allows YouTubers to hijack the show. He placates them too much and relies too much on that. But he's mentioned that before on air, and of course, it had no impact on Tony because I think, as we pointed out time and time again, this is Tony's show. So, Brian, what are you doing right now? You're on the phone. Are you trying to contact Matt?
Yeah, I'm trying to call Matt.
Okay, here's a good one. I got a good idea. Call Tony. Just call Tony and see if he answers. Test my theory. Because we're doing the show and he's got to think it's important. So maybe he will answer. Tell him you're trying to locate Matt. Call Tony and see if he answers.
This is great radio, right, John?
It's not great radio, but it's what Tony wanted. He wanted people to criticize him.
We can call you and see if you answer because he's talking about how you never answered.
Did he answer?
Yeah, he answered.
Wow.
He did answer. Johnson.
Well, you know why he answered? Because he knows we're doing the show, and in Tony's way of thinking, the show is important. Real life is insignificant. So yeah, I could see him answering now.
Yeah, that's good. Hang on a minute. I don't know. Do you want to put him on there? Do you want me to put Tony on air?
Not really.
Okay.
But
Not really.
But I mean, if you, where is he? Is he at the beach?
I guess so. Yeah. I'll just drop him. All right.
Yeah, just drop him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Tony.
good.
That was. I don't know if that was cool or not, but it worked. He didn't answer. I'm stunned.
Okay. So since Matt's not here, why don't we do our? Let's go ahead. I tell you what. Let's wait on Matt because he might show up later. Okay, and we'll wait to do our draft. Here's something I'd like to try. We can discuss this as talking points. Tuesday, Tennessee had its what it calls a media day. It's not as big as it once was. You've got SEC media days. We've already had that, but Tennessee had its Josh Heupel address the media. Jim Knowles, the new defensive coordinator, addressed the media. Joey Hausley, the offensive coordinator, addressed the media. And then you had 10 players available. They were in two groups, 5 players each. And you really had about 30 minutes with each player group. And I just kind of went from one player to the next, heard a few things from them, asked a few questions, perhaps for future columns, ideas. So I just want to kind of get your reaction. These were some things that struck me, and I want you to say if you think this is significant or not. Just impressions I had. Now I will preface this about quarterback because quarterback is the big news item of this training camp. When it gets started, it started already. So That's the big thing. George McIntyre, the redshirt freshman, or Faison Brandon, the true freshman. Eventually, I think most of us agree it will be Faison Brandon, but both quarterbacks are available. So I was listening to Faison Brandon, and it kind of speaks to what quarterbacks have become in college. He's a true freshman. Many years ago, I can remember you weren't even allowed to interview freshmen. And that was commonplace at a lot of schools.
They didn't even play.
No, they
years
did.
ago.
Yeah. Oh, years ago. Yeah. But then after they did, coaches were very reluctant to give a freshman at any position media opportunities. This is a different world. So we've seen other freshmen at UT come in and they're available to the media. But Faison's front and center because he might be a true freshman, but he also very well could be Tennessee's quarterback. So I asked him, Faison, when was the first time you got interviewed? And he didn't hesitate. He said, how old were you? I asked him, and he said he was 14. So, I mean, he's experienced with interviews. I said, how'd the interview go? He said, well, did he get asked good questions? He said, yeah, they were good questions, I thought. One thing that struck me, and I don't know if this really matters, but he's very comfortable in talking to the media. He seemed very natural. Nothing was forced. He wasn't uptight. Just very. I kind of like that in a quarterback. Do you think that matters? Is that something you would just dismiss? Do you think that matters?
I'm encouraged to hear that, to be honest, because I think that also translates to the field. When it's third down, you need 6 yards, and you're in the fourth quarter, the game's tight, or third quarter, second half, sometime. I actually like to hear that. That's promising and encouraging to me to have your quarterback who's comfortable in the media already. I think that also can translate to the field.
Well, as you mentioned, maybe it doesn't always, but with him, see that I'd never spoken to him before, and I didn't go in with any preconceived notions. I thought he might be a little less comfortable in talking to the media there for the first time because you're just sitting there on a stool, a high stool, and all these different media types come by, and you've got one person asking him what's his favorite color, asking him to sing Rocky Top, those kind of mindless things that can make for good sound bites or can make for a decent video and people will watch it. But none of that really fazed him. Faison was unfazed. So I just think that matters because I don't think he's a guy, and this is what really matters on the field. I don't think he's a guy that when he makes a mistake, he will be overwhelmed by it. And Brian, you know how that can be. If you make a mistake, even a crucial one, you better be able to put it behind you fast.
Especially at the quarterback position. Quarterback and cornerback.
Yeah.
Because you will have bad throws. You will get beat. You have to go to the next play, and you have to have a short memory.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Yeah, you've got to be thinking about what's next, particularly at quarterback. I also think for freshman quarterbacks today in this era, because you've got the earpiece and you can communicate, I think that helps for a young quarterback starting out than the way it used to be. I think that's another advantage. But yeah, I just kind of thought that was significant, and I don't think if a guy interviews well that means he'll be a good football player. But I think at that position, it's the hardest position to play in sports. And you got to be really confident. He's confident without being braggadocio. He's confident. I just don't think he will be overwhelmed no matter what the early season games present. And Joey Halsley, the offense coordinator, in talking about Faison, coaches are when they have a competition, they're very reluctant to favor one guy over the other because they're not, no matter what they might be thinking,
They want the guy to show up and compete every day.
Yes. So they don't want to tip their hand. They don't. So he said, Halsley said, both players, both quarterbacks are very mature for their age. I mean, McIntyre's, he's just a redshirt freshman. We talk about a true freshman, but McIntyre's a young guy too, and he's never played much. So he's saying McIntyre's very, he's very mature for age. You would hate to hear a coach say about his quarterback, well, he's 18 or 19, but kind of acts like he's about 14. How confident would you be going into a season with a quarterback who acts like he's 14? It wouldn't be a good sign of great things to come.
You'd have Tyler Bray out there and Derek Dooley. That's something he would say. But John, let's hold some of these to the other side. We'll tease them, and we'll take our second break of the show. 865-200-5402. Brian Hartman, John Adams, in for Tony on this Thursday edition.
Tony B, inviting you to experience the Collins Insurance difference. And what's that? How about multiple top carriers that you can trust? Like Erie, they underwrite our entire Rainier studio and everything around it. Travelers, Hartford, Hanover, Progressive. We do what's right because we care. In today's technology-driven world, maintaining the human touch, Bruce Springsteen, is one of our main focuses. We deliver the best customer service humanly possible. We give you someone that you can actually call or sit in front of. Imagine that. No call centers here. Experience the Collins Insurance difference. Check them out at collinsinsuranceTN.com, and they're Mrs. B approved. Collins Insurance. TB with a few serious questions. You feeling tired? Foggy? You gaining weight? Or you just don't feel like yourself anymore? Hormone therapy is finally becoming mainstream, but it's truly something my man, Dr. Tom Rogers, has been doing for over 20 years. Dr. Rogers at Performance Medicine wants you to feel your best, and he treats both males and females. So guys, we can do this as a family. At Performance Medicine, hormone therapy is personalized to you. If you're dealing with hot flashes or mood swings or low energy, decreased libido, fatigue, muscle loss, stubborn weight gain, it might be time to find out what your body really needs. No shame in this game. You can do something about all the above. Performance Medicine offers customized hormone treatment plans based on comprehensive lab testing with options like pellets, creams, patches, oral medications, and injections. The goal is simple. Help you feel like yourself again. Next level. Make your life better. Take it to the higher plane. Visit performancemedicine.net. Schedule your consultation today. You'll feel your best with Performance Medicine.
Big news, Basilio family. Get ready because the 2026 Knoxville real estate market is officially shifting into high gear. All signs are pointing toward a record-breaking year, and the energy across East Tennessee is absolutely electric right now. Whether you've been dreaming of finding that next home, looking to capitalize on your current equity, or ready to dive into the investment world, the timing has never been better. Having a game plan is the key to winning in this fast-paced market, and I'm ready to help. Give me a call, Jennifer Morris, at 865-694-5904, or reach out at nextmovesmokymountains.com. That's nextmovesmokymountains.com, and go Vols.
Basilio here with the great Chad Stockton of FC Alliance. And Chad, I can hear it in the background, brother. It's World Cup season, and you guys are in the middle of it. Talk to me.
We are excited. Our U9 through U12 trials just kicked off today for our locations in Knoxville and in Johnson City. So we're ready to offer any player top-level competition, top-level training anywhere they want to be in Northeast Tennessee. In our programs, we offer competitive play for anywhere from 9-year-olds to 19-year-olds. We've got two locations. Our location in Knoxville is kind of our home base, and our location up in Johnson City in the Tri-Cities area is our FC Alliance North. Both locations are growing tremendously, and we're excited about what the future holds here at both locations.
Growing the beautiful game in the season of the World Cup. Chad Stockton, how can folks get more information?
Go to our website, FC Alliance or FCAllianceNorth.org. And both locations, we're happy to serve the beginning player or the more experienced player, because what we will promise is the top-level training and top-level leagues that we can play in for all of our players.
Growing the beautiful game in Knoxville and now also in the Tri-Cities. FC Alliance. Thank you, Chad Stockton.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, so we really need uniforms and equipment for this season. Can I trust you with that? Cool, I'll just order them online. What? Yeah, I'm gonna hop online and I'm gonna get them ordered. Hold up, that's not a good idea. We shouldn't just spend money on some random online retailer, okay? I mean, it seems pretty convenient. Trust me, it's a terrible idea. Let me simplify this for you. SM Athletics. Okay, how do you pronounce it? SM Athletics? They're the go-to for uniforms and equipment, whether it's for universities, high schools, youth leagues, you name it. So why wouldn't you rather go with professionals who can guide us through the process, design the perfect uniforms, and deliver the best equipment? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. What's the name again? SM Athletics. Right. It's definitely smarter to go with a company that emphasizes customer service, fair pricing, and, of course, excellent products. Exactly. So, yeah, I guess it's settled then. For uniforms and equipment for all sports, it's SM Athletics.
When a dangerous, overgrown, or storm-damaged tree is threatening your home, your car, or your family, don't risk it. Call ECR Total Landscapes, your local tree-cutting experts. From precision tree removal and trimming to emergency storm cleanup, ECR Total Landscapes has the equipment and the experience to get the job done safely and efficiently. Call today to set up your free estimate, 865-384-2012, or just go online to ecrtotallandscapes.com.
The High Noon line of hard seltzers is always a winner and always next level. High Noon vodka seltzers come in 14 flavors with real vodka and real fruit juice. Only 100 calories with no sugar added, and it's gluten-free.
Personally, I'm partial black cherry and pineapple.
14 flavors.
That's as many bad takes as I've got in a week.
In the mood for a kick? Try High Noon vodka iced tea in 6 refreshing flavors,
Including peach and lemon, green tea, and half and half.
Feeling adventurous? Check out High Noon tequila seltzer in 6 refreshing flavors, including my favorite, blood orange. High Noon real vodka, real fruit juice. Live like the sun is always out.
Brought to you by High Noon Spirits Company. Must be 21 and over to enjoy responsibly.
Preparing food for a big gathering can really take it out of you. That's why you need to call Calhoun's and check out their selection of party platters. Whether you're hosting a party for the big game, a reunion, or just an everyday gathering, a Calhoun's party platter is next level. Choose from Calhoun's always excellent chicken tenders, fly with Calhoun's wings, or boneless wings with a variety of dipping sauces, award-winning next-level melt-in-your-mouth barbecue ribs, or delicious spinach artichoke dip, or get one of each. Plus, if you're doing burgers or sandwiches, Calhoun's has lots of side dishes like spinach Maria, baked cinnamon apples, Smoky Mountain baked beans, or creamy coleslaw. Available in pints, quarts, and gallons. And to finish things off, pick up one of Calhoun's great desserts to go, including homemade cheesecake or key lime pie. Calhoun's, simply your go-to party headquarters. With 9 locations all over East Tennessee, you can order online and just pick it up. Calhoun's, one of the Copper Cellar family of restaurants, along with Chesapeake's, Copper Cellar, Corner 16, Cherokee Grill, and Smoky Mountain Brewery. Eat local, eat good.
Nothing makes you realize how much you rely on your air conditioner like a scorching hot day in East Tennessee. You want more than a technician. You want someone you can trust. Schedule Pipe Wrench's $79 AC tune-up now because the heat is here. Our certified technicians inspect, clean, and fine-tune your HVAC system to help it run efficiently and reliably while reducing the risk of breakdowns when you need it most. And while we're there, we can also recommend ways to improve your indoor air quality for cleaner, healthier air throughout your home. For more than 20 years, homeowners across Knoxville, Maryville, Oak Ridge, and surrounding communities have trusted Pipe Wrench Home Services for dependable comfort. And with our same-day service guarantee, you won't be left waiting when comfort matters most. Schedule your $79 AC tune-up today at PipeWrench.com. Same-day service guaranteed, or the visit is free. Offer valid on standard systems only. Visit PipeWrench.com for details.
Basilio here with my buddy, Kenexial Kristen.
Hey Tony, good to see ya. Conexial builds fleet technology that helps transportation and logistics companies win big. Live GPS, easy ELD and compliance tools, AI dash cameras, and asset tracking, all backed by the #1 U.S. customer support team. Want a better playbook for your operations? Visit Conexial.com/Tony. That's KONEXIAL.com/Tony. Conexial, built for drivers, trusted by fleets, and proud Vol fans.
Only 2 homestands remaining for your Knoxville Smokies, and next week is a huge week. Free hot dog night on Tuesday. Yep, all you can eat hot dogs all night long. Then Wednesday is all you can eat for less than $20, and that includes game ticket. Knox Vegas Thirsty Thursday with half off draft beers and the weekend. Make sure to grab your UT gear and head to the ballpark on Saturday for Tennessee night. First 1,000 fans receive a Deshaun Bishop bobblehead. Get your tickets now at smokiesbaseball.com.
865-200-5402. We have no calls, so call in and participate in Basilio Festivus as John Adams, Brian Hartman. Matt Dixon finally joins us. Matt, welcome in.
Yeah, apologies for the late arrival, but yeah, good to be on with you guys.
Matt, I was just going over. I wanted to go over a few things. I started with Brian with one thing. They had media day a couple of days ago at UT, and they had 10 players available. They're sitting there on high benches, high chairs, I guess you would call stools. And I was asked, you could go. Various media types are coming by asking them questions. There's usually 4 or 5, sometimes more if it's quarterback, more people around him. So you get questions thrown at you from a lot of different angles, completely different subjects. One question may have nothing to do with the previous one. So I'm standing there talking to Faison Brandon, who might very well be Tennessee's quarterback, is a true freshman. And as I told Brian, I asked him, how were you the first time you got interviewed? And he said he was 14. So this was not new to him, but I was impressed with him because as a true freshman, how comfortable he was talking to the media. And no matter what question came at him, he was unfazed by it. I thought, maybe I'm reading too much in that, but I thought that's not a bad reaction for someone that could be a quarterback as a true freshman, to know that this guy seems pretty calm and isn't uptight about anything. Very relaxed in what had to be a foreign situation. Now, he's been interviewed before, but this was kind of a different concept, and he's just starting college ball. So I was curious, does that matter to you? Is that significant to you at all? Just how he handled himself in that situation?
It's definitely a positive. I'm not sure how much it'll actually like help on the field, but on the flip side, I don't think Nico was prepared for all the stuff that went into being like an SEC quarterback. Even after kind of being here, it felt like he kind of had lived a little bit of a sheltered life and had a lot of decisions kind of made for him, and he wasn't ready to take on that leadership role that being a quarterback of a big time program requires. So to have Faison kind of do that, I do think that's kind of encouraging, but I don't know if that necessarily changes how he plays on the field, but maybe from a leadership standpoint, he can step in and be the leader of your team, because ultimately that's who the starting quarterback is, regardless of what their personality is. They have to be the leader of your team.
Yeah, you wouldn't, as the teams assemble around him in a huddle, in a tight situation, you wouldn't want a deer in the headlights look from your quarterback. I do remember the first time to interviewing Nico. Now this is as a redshirt freshman, because but to start his redshirt freshman year, he had already been anointed in Tennessee's quarterback of the future. The future turned out not to be as long as we had envisioned originally, but in talk to Nico, the thing that struck me was how laid back he was. Very laid back. So he certainly wasn't nervous about meeting with the media, but he also wasn't that as engaged. I think he just it was kind of ho hum. Okay, I've got to do this, and I'm okay with it. Whereas with Faison, he just seemed engaged. He kind of liked the give and take, and he just had fun with it. So in that sense, he seemed a little more energized, and I guess he's probably that way all the time. I'd read about him, dealing with younger fans and how he interacted with them. So to me, that's a good sign. We'll see if I'm reading way too much into that once the season unfolds. But here's another thing that comes up. When I was listening to Jim Knowles, now he's an elector, so it's a group situation. But one of the things I noticed about Jim Knowles, Tennessee's new defensive coordinator, is that when he was asked a question, he was thoughtful about it. He gave a concise answer. He wasn't just mailing it in, going through the motions. No matter what the question was, you could tell he put thought into his answer and gave good answers. And also, he didn't ramble. I thought back to Monty Kiffin when he was here in that 1 year. He was the other Kiffin, of course, Lane's dad, who was a renowned defensive coordinator, famed for his Tampa 2 defense that so many other NFL teams and college teams later mimicked. But Monty, to talk to him, gave really good answers, and he was thoughtful at a question. He answered it directly. He didn't give those vague general answers. I just thought of him. I think when a coach can communicate well, effectively with the media, it's also a sign that he can communicate with players. And that's more important. It's not as important how your defensive coordinator communicates with the media. It is important how he communicates with the players. So does that move the needle at all with you and Jim Knowles, what I'm saying about him, Matt?
I think it can, yeah, because I think we all kind of can see that Jim Knowles is a really intelligent guy and has some complex schemes and things, but his ability to teach players, especially first year players, which is what he's got to deal with here for the most part. I do think that communication does matter, and making things simple for your players, and where he's doing all the thinking, where the players are just kind of playing. That's kind of the ideal way you want to handle it. But so yeah, I do think there could be something into that him being a good communicator does help him teach his scheme and teach his defense to his players, as well as having a couple of Penn State guys and some assistant coaches that know the scheme already. I do think the learning curve here could be a little bit shorter than maybe we anticipated at the beginning. So yeah, I do think that could help.
Well, see, I was starting to think the same thing and listening to him and he said something I thought was very significant, because just in a limited brief time with him, listening to him, he doesn't strike me as somebody who just says things for effect. You know how some guys will, in that kind of setting, particularly a group situation when they're taking questions, they will say things. Okay, here's what I should say, and here's what the repercussions of that would be, and so he crafts his answer. I thought he came across as very sincere. I know that can be faked, but when he said, Brian, he said, this summer, of all the stops he's made and all the transitions he's made as a defensive coordinator to coach, this one had gone, his system had been assimilated quicker here than it has anywhere else. Brian, is that a good sign?
Yeah, I think it is. It's a good sign because the defense is really what kept them out of the playoffs last year. And the offense, I think, was good enough. But I think fans want to have hope that the defensive side of the ball is better. They made the change. They got a new coach in here. And his system, they say, takes a couple years for everyone to grasp. But I think with the transfer portal, when you bring some guys in who's been in his system, that can help maybe spread to the other players who haven't been as experienced.
Well, to your point, I'm talking to T.J. Metcalf, the safety from Michigan, third leading tackler, I think, with Michigan last year, big hitter. And I asked him, I was curious, I said, would you get more excited about an interception or a really jarring tackler on a ball carrier? And he smiled and said, yeah, that hard hit, that gets him going more. That struck me as significant because Jim Knowles, as Monty Kiffin in his day, Jim Knowles wants safeties that can tackle. They get very involved in run defense. And, Matt, I think this could be one of the maybe biggest areas of improvement in Tennessee is safety play and sure tackling, maybe some jarring tackles. What do you think there?
I certainly hope so. Tennessee safeties play the past, really maybe 5 or 10 years has been average at best. And I think with Tim Banks, especially in these big games, he was so scared of his safeties getting beat deep that they played so far back that they were just never involved in plays, especially the running game. And that I think that's what kind of got them beat in a lot of, especially these bigger games where, against Georgia and teams like that, where the safeties were just so out of position so often because they played so far back because they were a little bit slow and Banks couldn't trust, corners to, like especially last year to defend receivers downfield. So, yeah, I hope that they become more involved in the run game and be a little bit more aggressive and just are better overall because I think I looked it up that Eric Berry's the last safety that Tennessee's had drafted. Now, you've had a couple of guys that have made the NFL as maybe a nickel or converted safety, but I think Eric Berry was the last safety that was just even drafted out of Tennessee, and that's been, we're going on over 15 years now. So, yeah, that's an area that's got to improve as well.
Well, I think you bring up Eric Berry. That was a kind of a risky move, I thought, when Monty Kiffin came here. And there were times he had a different role for Eric Berry, who was
he was pretty much a linebacker last year when he
yeah, and after
I'm not even sure he had more than 1 or 2 interceptions.
I think he had 2, but the first 2 years he had 12, and he returned them for over 400 yards. That was one of the offensive strengths. Was Eric Berry?
I remember thinking he was going to break a return yards record for interceptions. And he just needed maybe not much, but he fell short of that record.
Yeah, because in Monty Kiffin's defense, he wanted Eric Berry to be more involved against the run. And I thought it worked out fine. And Eric Berry, I think it helped Eric Berry, who was like the 5th player drafted, as I remember. It helped Eric Berry with the pros because he's already proved himself as a ball hawk. And you saw this guy's a really sure tackler. I think he had a career high in tackles. I know his last year was 80-something tackles. Eric Berry had. So he proved to the pros by playing in Monty Kiffin's defense at safety that he could do it all.
It might have got him drafted higher.
I think it probably did. And of course the pros, Monty Kiffin's
he knows what it's going to take for a guy to get there. So he thought, well, this is your best way to get there. You can't just be one trick pony back there.
Well, so you have in the secondary at safety or nickelback, those 3 guys. You probably have 2 transfers with Quay Moss, who was a big hitter at Kansas State. You have Metcalf from Michigan and Idris Farouk, who started last year, first year as a starter, 76 tackles and forced 4 fumbles. So this could be a very different secondary when you add the cornerbacks, Kayan Lee from Auburn, who has starting experience, and Ty Redmond, of course. third team All SEC last year as a freshman. But Matt, what I was thinking about the secondary, the new one, and looking back at the last year's secondary, Colton Hood at cornerback is a second-round draft pick. Ty Redmond, freshman, starting as a true freshman. Ty Redmond is third-team All-SEC. You're third-team All-SEC, you're pretty good. You're third-team All-SEC as a true freshman, you're a potential first-round draft pick one day. So, and then I look at Idris Farouk's stats, 76 tackles, all those forced fumbles. When you break down that secondary individually, it didn't seem that bad, and yet it ranked 112th in the nation in passing yards allowed. I just thought that was kind of odd because when you looked at them individually, Matt, they didn't look that bad, and their stats were pretty good, and so were some of their accolades.
Yeah, I thought Redmond got a lot better the back half of the year. He got picked on early, especially in that Georgia game, obviously, when he was kind of left on an island. Farouk, like you mentioned, you made a bunch of tackles. A lot of the plays from him last year, I remember when he just kind of missed tackles, he'd just throw his body at a guy and either just totally whiff or just not be able to make the actual tackle. So you've got to get a whole. I just didn't think you could cover anybody last year when you lost McCoy and Gibson for the year, which most teams probably couldn't if they lost their two corners. You were really good in 24 when those guys were healthy and you had true cover corners that your coaches depended on. And Colton Hood was such a pleasant surprise last year. And was a really good player. But yeah, you had to make massive improvements there. You get the kid from Auburn, you hope it's going to be good. The Quay Moss, I think, has got a lot of potential there. Metcalf, you mentioned. So you've got guys that have played at this level, not in this system, but are productive players and should be upgrades over what you had last year. Because the secondary just got torched so often last year.
Go ahead,
Brian.
Yeah,
we have no calls, 865-200-5402. If you want to get in and rip Tony, we don't want to forget about Basilio Festivus.
You can rip Tony anytime. You don't have to do it on this day if you don't feel properly inspired. You can do it anytime.
Well, that's true, too.
Yeah, you can text me and rip Tony. Email me and rip Tony. So I really think the secondary, just if the secondary significantly improved, and I think it will be, that's a huge step up because think of how many games, just as you mentioned, Matt, these guys got really just blown up time after time. And I think the nightmare game, of course, was Vanderbilt. I can still see Diego Pavia just cruising through that secondary in Vanderbilt's win.
Well, I think a lot of times he brought safeties on blitzes or either played them back too far. Did Matt see the same thing, Matt?
Yeah, there was like no in between, and it kind of was pretty obvious when they were blitzing, or you'd have the corner blitz, which he did way too often that I don't think they ever got home. But yeah, I just think in some of the games against good offenses, Banks was a little too conservative with the safeties and had them 20, 30 yards downfield to not get beat over the top, that they were just never involved in plays. And Georgia used the multiple tight ends in motion. They've done it like 3 years in a row and just absolutely torched Tennessee in the middle of the field. And they've gone up and down the field for 3 or 4 years here in a row they've made Carson Beck look like a first round draft pick.
Yeah.
And then of course last year with Gunnar Stockton, you gave up a couple of plays there one-on-one where you got beat in a game that you should have won. So yeah, that stuff happened too often in Tennessee's big games.
Yeah, you mentioned when you look at what Tennessee did for Georgia quarterbacks, Matt first mentions Carson Beck. He got a lot of money from Miami and had his best season. I give him credit for how he played in the playoffs. That was the best I ever saw of him. But his game against Tennessee, Yeah, that was one highlight video after another. And then you look at Gunnar Stockton. You go into that Tennessee game, there were still a lot of questions about Gunnar Stockton. You think of him as a great team guy, team leader, just a real football player. A guy will just go hard on every play, but you just didn't know about his passing. And he made some throws in that Tennessee game, and not all of them were a result of a poor secondary play. That crucial pass in winning the game against Tennessee when he threaded the needle, I think it raised the opinion of Gunnar Stockton across the board, not just with Georgia fans, but nationally. And he goes into this season as a Heisman candidate.
Let's get our first call in. Let's go to Joe from Blount County. Joe wants to weigh in.
Hey guys, John.
Hey Joe.
You guys really enjoy your show, and always enjoyed your columns for years. It's a little off subject, but this Champions Plaza they're putting over at the stadium.
Wow, that is off topic. What? I don't even know what that is. What is it?
Well, they're going to put some kind of shrine to Doug Dickey, General Neyland, and Fulmer. But they're not saying a word about Johnny Majors or Bill Battle. And I know Bill Battle was not one of the best coaches ever, but he did have some good seasons. And I know Coach Majors built the program for Fulmer. And I just thought it was kind of dirty to not put him in there. It's just it just keeps coming around, you know. They try to just seem like they want to shut him out of everything.
Joe, I think particularly long-term fans really connect with Johnny Majors and are really aware of his contributions. Philip Fulmer won a national championship to his credit and did a terrific job there in the mid to late 90s. But Johnny Majors set the table for him. And Johnny Majors also was an All-American football player, at tailback single wing. So I think too many people have forgotten Johnny Majors. I think long-standing fans know what he meant to the program. He's a Tennessee native, a Tennessee player. And think about this. You could really say in a way that Johnny Majors made a huge sacrifice by coming back to Tennessee.
He sure did.
We're going way back now, and it's a long time. You know, senior citizens like me can remember this, but one of the great rebuilding jobs in college football history was what Johnny Majors did at Pittsburgh. He did it.
Yes, and Iowa State as well.
Well, in Iowa State too, but at Pittsburgh, both were great rebuilding jobs and quick fixes. But at Pitt, he took one of the worst programs in the country, flipped a switch, it seemed like, and turned it into a national championship team, an unbeaten team, and really a team that was a lot of people recognized as one of the best college football teams of all time. Of course, he had Tony Dorsett, great running back, one of college football's great running backs, but that Pitt team was strong at every position. Johnny Majors had a great coaching staff. Jackie Sherrill was on it. So Johnny Majors left and came home to Tennessee. I never asked him this question, but I wonder if he regretted coming back to Tennessee. He loved Tennessee, and it was Johnny comes marching home time. But he had to rebuild Tennessee, and it was a slow build. At Pitt, if he would have stayed at Pitt, can you imagine how many more games he would have won than if the next 5 years at Pitt?
He wins another national title at some point.
Oh, I agree with you, man. Those were
they got Dan Marino a few years later. Yeah, I think he wins at least one more national title at Pitt because they were at the top of the sport right then.
I think, and I think one of the great things Johnny Majors did, he was good at evaluating coaches. Now, he was hard to work for, but he was good at hiring coaches. Jackie Sherrill was a great coach, and he kept winning at Pitt. But gosh, if you given Johnny Majors 5 more years at Pitt, the way he recruited, the staff he could build, and man, in Pittsburgh, they don't forget. If they have any kind of, if they honor any coaches at Pittsburgh, I guarantee you Johnny Majors is among them. And I'm glad Joe brought this up because it's sometimes it's easy to forget about Johnny Majors, but Tennessee's great run in the 90s began with Johnny Majors. And Philip Fulmer played a key role in that as an offensive coordinator and a recruiter. But Johnny Majors did the building, and Philip Fulmer took it a step further. I really thought in 1990 that if Chuck Webb, who is I think one of the greatest players Tennessee's ever had and the best running back, I would take him over Jamal of all the Tennessee running backs I've seen. But if Chuck Webb hadn't got hurt in that second game in 1990, I think Tennessee would have won the national championship. It had, if you remember, Tony Thompson, it had just an outbreak of injuries at that position, but Tony Thompson was like the fourth guy, and he still did a great job. It was a terrific offensive line. But Chuck Webb was one of these guys. He could hit a home run. He could make that tough 3 yards for first down, but he also might go 83 yards for a touchdown. That team had a tough schedule, and Colorado and Georgia Tech, Colorado, whom Tennessee tied in the opening game, Colorado and Georgia Tech split the championships. I think Tennessee would have won the championship that year, but yeah, it was. I'm glad you brought that up.
Joe, anything else before we break?
Yeah, one more thing. As far as Doug Dickey goes, I think Doug Dickey might have been the best coach Tennessee's ever had. And I think the reason why is if he had not left and gone to Florida, I don't think we'd have heard that much out of Bear Bryant in the 70s.
Wow.
Dickey had it going on.
Don't go say that in Tuscaloosa, Joe. Never heard of Bear Bryant. Try that out on an Alabama audience.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the call, Joe, in Blount County. John, let's take a second break, and we'll come back on the other side. We'll have a top of the hour and Tony Basilio show on a Thursday.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
You got a dream about buying some land and building on that land? Well, Waterside Contracting is your ticket. 25 years of making dreams come true, Michael Scott. For hundreds in our area, custom homes or remodels, Waterside Contracting will build on your lot. They do incredible work all over the area. Structural integrity, quality without compromise. It's a way of life with Waterside Contract. Check out the wonderful work Waterside does. WatersideContractingLLC.com. When it's time for your dreams to come true. Quality without compromising. Waterside Contracting. He doesn't always drink beer, but when he does, he definitely prefers Dos Equis. That's right. The most interesting man in the world has returned, and he's more interesting than ever before. His phone is addicted to him. All of his teeth, all are wisdom teeth. So raise a Dos Equis to the man, the myth, the legend. And remember, stay thirsty, my friends. Dos Equis, enjoy responsibly. 2026 Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
Located in Knoxville's historic Old City, Barley's offers great food, live music, the best draft beer selection in town, and now your new favorite place to watch sports. Their indoor projector is perfect for any weather, and they've revamped their upstairs area with more TVs to take in all of the action. Their menu features hand-battered chicken tenders, juicy burgers, fresh salads, and the tastiest pizza in Knoxville. You can enjoy their happy hour drink specials daily from open until 6 p.m. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
Chilio here, and my friends at Carnes Motor Company started with a dream over a quarter century ago. I met Rob and Brian back when I still had hair, and they were working at a huge dealership in West Knoxville. But they told me back then they wanted to sell cars on their terms, and I wanted to do radio on my terms. Their terms, just like my terms, are ultimately your terms. In both cases, you're the winner. A Car Guru's National Award winner with a 5-star rating on all sites, just like our Vols. Everything about buying a car from Carnes Motor Company is no hassle. They specialize in high-quality pre-owned vehicles between the $5,000 to $25,000 range. And if you need to sell a car, they'll either buy your car or they'll help you sell it. Carnes Motor Company also has a top-notch service department. Therefore, every vehicle is rigorously inspected and serviced prior to delivery. So you're guaranteed to get a quality pre-owned vehicle every time. If you need a place for service, they've got you covered. Come be a part of the Carnes Motor Company family and tell them you heard about it from me. Online at carnesmotor.com, Oak Ridge Highway, 1 mile past the Carnes light. Carnes Motor Company. Like our 2026 football Vols, score a T3TD every time with T3 Vodka, Tennessee's premium vodka. Handcrafted with passion, precision, and a whole lot of pride. Right here, handcrafted in the majesty of the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. Quality around here isn't just a promise, it's a way of life. And T3's filtered 10 times. 80 proof of vodka delivering a smoothness unmatched. This dedication to excellence has earned T3 Vodka prestigious accolades, like a 5-time gold medal award-winning vodka and your SIPS Consumer Choice Award medal winner as well. Whether you're sipping it neat, on the rocks, mixing your favorite cocktail, T3 Vodka, your choice for a premium award-winning experience. Be like Maury Hanks. Score a T3TD. Ask for T3 Vodka by name at restaurants and wine and liquor stores today. Drink it neat, drink it right, and score a T3TD all 2026 long. Tennessee's Premium Vodka. T3, Tennessee's Premium Vodka. Distributed by Empire Distributors of Tennessee.
Big news, Basilio family. Get ready because the 2026 Knoxville real estate market is officially shifting into high gear. All signs are pointing toward a record-breaking year, and the energy across East Tennessee is absolutely electric right now. Whether you've been dreaming of finding that next home, looking to capitalize on your current equity, or ready to dive into the investment world, the timing has never been better. Having a game plan is the key to winning in this fast-paced market, and I'm ready to help. Give me a call, Jennifer Morris, at 865-694-5904, or reach out at nextmovesmokymountains.com. That's nextmovesmokymountains.com, and go Vols.
Basilio here with the great Chad Stockton of FC Alliance. And Chad, I can hear it in the background, brother. It's World Cup season, and you guys are in the middle of it. Talk to me.
We are excited. Our U9 through U12 trials just kicked off today for our locations in Knoxville and in Johnson City. So we're ready to offer any player top-level competition, top-level training anywhere they want to be in Northeast Tennessee. In our programs, we offer competitive play for anywhere from 9-year-olds to 19-year-olds. We've got 2 locations. Our location in Knoxville is kind of our home base, and our location up in Johnson City in the Tri-Cities area is our FC Alliance North. Both locations are growing tremendously, and we're excited about what the future holds here at both locations.
Growing the beautiful game in this, the season of the World Cup. Chad Stockton, how can folks get more information?
Go to our website, FC Alliance or FCAllianceNorth.org. And both locations, we're happy to serve the beginning player or the more experienced player, because what we will promise is the top-level training and top-level leagues that we can play in for all of our players.
Growing the beautiful game in Knoxville and now also in the Tri-Cities. FC Alliance. Thank you, Chad Stockton.
Thanks, buddy.
TB here for Cedar Bluff Plumbing, a live and local company that's been serving our area for over 32 years and counting, because every customer counts, and I mean no job is too small. Cedar Bluff Plumbing just voted #1 by City View magazine because multiple plumbing experts are on call to serve all your plumbing needs. Chances are there'll be a plumber in your area when you call, and they won't send some salesman to your house. You're going to get a high-character, trustworthy, highly trained plumber who will serve you, not like some of these guys that look like they came off the set of America's Most Wanted. Cedar Bluff Plumbing is Basilio tested and approved and will go the extra mile for you because Chucky Mack is a servant of the people and my consigliere to the throne, celebrating over 32 years of serving living volunteers. Cedar Bluff Plumbing. Call 588-4448. That's 588-4448. Cedar Bluff Plumbing.
Out-of-town law firms have been swarming into East Tennessee lately. From Memphis, Chattanooga, and Birmingham, they've stormed into the area. Wouldn't you rather do business with a local firm? You know, a true neighbor. Marcos Garza and the pros at the Garza Law Firm are just that. There are neighbors and friends that support local causes year-round. The Garza Law Firm works to serve you professionally on criminal matters, injuries and accident matters, and Social Security and disability filings. The Garza Law Firm is here for you at garzalaw.com. The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of the Tony Basilio Show. Brian Hartman, John Adams, and Matt Dixon in for Tony. We've got Tom who wants to get in, but John, we've got you back here. Good points about Doug Dickey, good points about Johnny Majors and Philip Fulmer and Jackie Sherrill at Pittsburgh.
Well, I think Doug Dickey, a lot of people thought he was one of Tennessee's best coaches. He wasn't really here long enough at Tennessee as a coach to prove that. And he didn't do well at Florida. And then he ended up at Colorado, of all places, when Colorado wasn't very good. Doug Dickey did a good job as AD, too. He made a few enemies along the way, but he didn't care a whole lot about what people thought. I thought he did some good things, made some good hires. He struggled with basketball, no doubt about that.
He didn't try, really.
Well, he just wasn't a basketball guy. Doug Dickey, I think ideally they would have made Doug Dickey AD for football and then have somebody else as their basketball AD. I think it might have worked out better.
That could have definitely been a lot better. Let's try to go to our next caller. We've got Tom, who is coming in. Tom, I think, wants to weigh in on the subject. Tom, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. I just figured since Tony wasn't in today that we could actually ask John questions and not be interrupted at all. John, you've been in Knoxville for a long time, and I'd put this on the board, but has there been a story that you had to cover historically, a story that you had to write that you just hated having to write it at the time? Like you didn't want to cover it, you didn't want to write it, but you had to anyway. If you had to think of a story like that, because I know you catch a lot of grief for being an LSU guy here in Knoxville. Sometimes you seem to take joy in some of the things that happen around the program. But what's one story you've had to write that you really didn't want to?
Well, I really couldn't. There have been too many of those. And I didn't have any problems writing any columns. I took a grief about it. I haven't taken that much grief about being an LSU graduate. I took more grief about being like pro-Alabama, because when I first came here, that was in the August of 1987, 39 years ago. I actually moved here from Jacksonville, Florida. I was a columnist there. Nobody ever complained me about my being a Florida guy, which always amused me. But my predecessor, Al Browning, unfortunately, Al died at a very young age of cancer. But Al was a columnist before me, and Al was from Alabama. He'd worked in Tuscaloosa. He was very connected with the Bear Bryant family, and so that made it hard on him in Knoxville, because that, of course, was Tennessee's biggest rival. And when I interviewed here with the editors and so forth about the columnist job, I said, I knew Al very well, and I never thought of Al as being that critical of a columnist. And I said, I'm going to be a lot more critical of the home team than Al was. If that bothers you, let's don't go any further with these talks, because that's just, I'm going to write what I think. It doesn't matter what the team is or where I am. It was that way when I was in Baton Rouge. I probably ripped LSU more than any school I ever covered. I was there 5 years. But, but it was, when you say, you got me thinking though, when you say a column I didn't want to write, and this is what popped into my head. Former News Sentinel columnist, sports columnist, Gary Lundy was a colleague and a very close friend.
and writing about Gary when he died of a heart attack when he was 49 years old. That's a column that I never wanted to write. Gary was younger than I was, and just a tremendous person, a most unassuming, humble guy, and with so much talent. And that really, I wrote a lot of Gary Lundy stories. Some were funny, some spoke to his talent, but having to write that column at all, that's a column I never wanted to write.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Jed. Anybody that you felt sorry for having to cover, like Derek Dooley or Jeremy Pruitt?
Sorry for it. That's
yeah.
It's kind of hard to be sorry for a coach and be a columnist. I mean, you can. I guess now I think of going back to the previous topic. Another one that I didn't want to write about was Pat Summitt. I followed her very closely in her last season here when she was battling early onset dementia, and it was hard to write those. It was hard to see her not at the top of her game through no fault of her own. So that comes to mind. But now what you just asked about feeling sorry, a coach I felt a little sorry for, I think, was Derek Dooley. He rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I thought he was a smart guy, but I didn't think he obviously wasn't a great coach, but he came into a really impossible situation, if you remember, because Philip Fulmer had been fired at the end of the 2008 season. Lane Kiffin comes in 2009, but he's gone in 1 year, and he leaves in mid-January. And so Derek Dooley comes in to an impossible situation. And I really think because Derek Dooley grew up in SEC football, his dad, Vince Dooley, of course, was a Hall of Fame coach there at Georgia. I think Derek Dooley knew the odds were stacked very much against him and probably knew he wouldn't last long at Tennessee. Wasn't enough to make him not take the job, but I think down deep he knew that. So I just felt it was an impossible situation because of recruiting coming in when he did and having a mixture of players who had been to first sign with Fulmer, then sign with Lane, and then Derek was left to pick up the pieces. It was a tough situation.
Yeah, he really, until Sunseri, seemed to pick really good coaches. Like he had talent around him, but that was a bad time.
Wow,
in Knoxville for sure.
That's something else I felt sorry for. Sal Sunseri, I felt sorry for Tennessee fans. I felt sorry for Tennessee fans sometimes through the worst days of Butch Jones. And, of course, for the catastrophic era of Jeremy Pruitt. I couldn't help but empathize some with Tennessee fans there and sympathize.
Well, thanks for sharing that, John. That's all I had, guys.
Okay.
Tom, we appreciate the call. We've got, I believe, from Atlanta. You're welcome. Welcome to the show. Is it Tragus?
Hey, John, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, are you guys still doing Festivus for Tony? I haven't been listening today.
Yes.
Yeah, you can criticize Tony anywhere, anytime. Feel free.
Great. So the eating on air really drives me insane. And I hate it because I love the content. I love the show. I love everything about it. But his mouth noises drive me crazy. And I don't know if it's, he wears that headset with the big ball, right, glued to his mouth. And as somebody that has much mouth activity during a broadcast, I don't think that's the greatest avenue for him to take in terms of microphones. And I'm not an expert, but I can literally hear tonsils moving when he's snacking on everything.
What a
watermelon
what
like
a
a week or
great
two ago.
what a great
The worst.
observation, because there's so many things negative to notice about Tony that things like that easily could have been lost. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because think about this. It's not just when Tony's on air, it's when he's talking to you on the phone. He could be having dinner and he's talking to you between bites or during bites. Really, I'm really impressed that you noticed that and brought it up, because I'm sitting there with him in studio when Laura brings him food, and you know what? He's never asked, John, would you like some lunch during the show? And I would have declined because I don't like to do radio and eat at the same time. But I thought it was significant that he never asked me if I would like something to eat. Main thing to remember about Tony's all about Tony.
Yeah, and John, I know that Dr. Swan, I went to communications at UT, and I know Dr. Swan taught him this. And he's probably rolling over in his grave every time he's hearing him eat watermelon or chips or whatever he is snacking on. And I just think that for the 2 hours or whatever the show is on, surely he can not eat. I mean, is that possible? I don't know.
No, Tony, as you've noticed, Tony is extremely uninhibited. That can be good, but at times it can be bad. And Tony doesn't care what he's doing while he's doing the show. I remember many years ago, I wasn't a regular on Tony's show, and I forgot where we were, but it was in a radio station, and I came in there as a guest, and I was on for the entire show practically. It was a long show, and I was on there, and Tony asked me a question, and then just got up and walked out. And I'm talking, and I know he's not here. He's not in the studio, so I know I need to prolong this, so I just keep coming up with things to say, and then Tony shows back up. I'm like, what was that? Have a little respect for your guests. But see, he'll do that in studio now. He'll just go take a restroom break, and he'll just get up and say, and the caller may be asking Tony the question, but Matt or Brian or I will actually have to answer it and cover for Tony till he returns.
Yeah, and I tell you, John, it's 2026. There's new technology and microphones. Those headset things, that's to be used like college game day when it's super loud. You know what I mean? So I think there's new he could still eat and smack all he wants, but we don't have to hear that. And, I don't know. But anyway.
Well, thing about Tony, he doesn't care that bothers you, okay? You need to keep that in mind. That does not bother him that you're bothered by it.
Right. Yeah. You're right. So, but thank you for this avenue to voice this, because if he was on air right now, I would already be blown up. So, hey, thank you for this venue, and thanks for your service, buddy. I love your columns, always have. Go Vols.
Well, thank you very much.
And that's nobody else on hold, 865-200-5402. You've got about 28 more minutes to air some more grievances against Tony and Festivus as Festivus 2026 continues until 1 o'clock.
Brian, I wanted to mention one more thing. I was talking about impressions I got from that Tennessee Media Day on Tuesday. I kind of buried the lead, because probably the most significant one was Josh Heupel himself. We have a new writer we have a couple of new writers on our staff. One of them, Stephen Thompson's from Pittsburgh. He's making that Johnny Majors move from Pittsburgh to Tennessee. Stephen will cover UT basketball, very talented young guy. And so of course, everybody helps out with football. So we're we're at the office talking, and I told Steven, I said, you probably don't expect much from Josh Heupel. Press conferences are insignificant to him. He doesn't say a lot. He doesn't give you a lot of insight. He's just not motivated to do so. That's not how he rolls. However, I thought that was the most significant preseason press conference I have ever heard from Josh Heupel. First off, he talked about Arian Carter. Now, I know we've been over that, and he's reacted to it before. Arian Carter, linebacker for Tennessee, veteran linebacker, suspended the first 2 games in a ridiculous NCAA ruling where money is being thrown around all over college sports. And Arian Carter he had his agent pay for a flight from NFL combines or workouts with NFL teams because of an injury, and he had to get a flight back. And so he ended up withdrawing from the draft, which he was allowed to do. And he was allowed to have an agent while he was in college in relation to NIL stuff. And so Arian Carter, of course, repaid his agent, and he thought he was fine, and everybody thought he was fine. The NCAA said, no, we're going to slap you for a 3rd-degree infraction. We were going to slap you with a 3-game suspension. Tennessee appealed, and he got it down to 2 games. This really upset Josh Heupel. And a lot of things, not many things really phase Josh Heupel. They just don't bother. But this really stuck in his craw. So he talked about that again. And that wasn't the only thing. I just thought he came across more sure of himself, more confident about his team. He's clearly really fired up about Derek Owings, the strength and conditioning coach he hired away from Indiana, because Heupel was talking about how Tennessee had improved significantly in terms of bodybuilding, a stronger, faster, bigger team. And yeah, he's complimentary of his teams and has been in the past. But you could to him, he feels really confident about this team. I think Matt, that's a good sign for Tennessee football this year.
Yeah, I think so. It has been odd how Heupel's been a little bit aggressive and letting his personality show it in these media settings when he has spent his entire career basically saying nothing and talking as much as he can to say nothing or give anything away. So some of this is really interesting. I'll be curious to see. I think we talked about this yesterday, John. If that continues as we lead up to the season and as the season plays out, but it's certainly a change that I kind of like. I think he needs to be a little bit more outgoing with the media, because when you're speaking to the media, you're really speaking to your fans for the most part, and Tennessee fans would like to see some of his personality a little bit more than he does. So yeah, but it has been a kind of a welcome change that's been a little bit unexpected, but it's fun to see.
Yeah, I think most fans agree with you on that. Brian, did you notice that Heupel seemed a little different at the media days in SEC?
I didn't see any of that live, but I did hear his BS when he said BS. I heard about that, saw the quote, and that's certainly been un-Heupel-like. Hopefully that translates to more trying to get better officiating on the field.
Well, I know fans have complained about his not being animated enough, not being defiant enough, maybe with officials at times. But going back to SEC media days, he had those he didn't mention Lane Kiffin by name, but he mentioned golf balls and pretty much encouraging Tennessee fans to unlimber their throwing arms and come prepared to greet Lane Kiffin at LSU late in the season. That was very much on Heupel-like.
Let's take our next call. We've got Taylor. Taylor, you're outstanding. Nice TWIB report yesterday. Welcome in.
Hey, thanks, Brian. Hey, John. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Taylor.
John, to your point, I thought that was artificial intelligence. I did not believe that Josh Heupel quote referring to Lane Kiffin. I absolutely 100% thought that was fake. I'm just shocked. I don't know what's gotten into Heupel. Somebody's gotten into him. I'm not quite sure who or what.
Well, I think the best case scenario for Tennessee fans is he's feeling very confident about this team. I don't know. I think if somebody advised Heupel, said, "Hey, you need to be more animated, more talk more, say more things, be a little more controversial in media settings." I think if Heupel was going to do that, he would have already done it by now. That's not who his personality is. That's not his personality, and he shouldn't change his personality. However, it's okay to be human, to speak what's on your mind, and he's not the only coach sometimes that just talks for effect as opposed to saying what's really on his mind. But I think it's kind of significant. But I think it's not because he's trying to say more. I think he feels more comfortable about this team because, and I think a lot of it has to do with the off-season conditioning program. He said something else. He got a question about wide receivers. And, of course, going into this season, you've got two proven guys, Braylon Staley and Mike Matthews, both had over 800 yards in receiving. Last year, going into the season, the big question mark was, would Tennessee really have competent receivers? Would it be that strong? We weren't sure that Brazil would be that as good as he was last season, and based on his first season. So that was a topic of conversation in preseason. So Tuesday, when Heupel's addressing the media, and he's asked about the receiving core, the question now is, who could be that third receiver? And he just sort of threw out there, kind of forced this in. He said, well, yeah, last year everybody was wondering if we'd have anybody to throw to. And I kind of thought that was interesting and un-Heupel-like. He was reminding the media because we did doubt what his receiving core would look like last year. And there was reason to doubt it. But they came through, and that was Heupel's way of saying, see, I knew what I had at receiver, and I knew what I was doing. Maybe he feels the same way about his quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I think he's smart like a fox. I think he's a lot like Coach Elander. Heupel and Elander tend to be very boring with coach speak in front of the media. But behind closed doors, they've got charisma. They have the ability to relate to players because they are both great recruiters and I think great leaders. But my goodness, in front of the media, you couldn't ask for two more boring people to engage with. One last thing. So in your career, John, what is one of the most surprising things that you have encountered? Maybe not the most. That's probably too hard of an ask. But what is the most surprising things about college sports that you've encountered during your historic career?
Well, I guess probably the most things is how college football is now determined by what happens in court more than it is on the field or more than it is in NCAA legislation. If you're waiting for a final decision on something, you won't get it from a coach. You won't get it from the NCAA. You'll get it from a judge. Maybe he'll say your quarterback can play, Trinidad Chambliss. Maybe he'll say your quarterback won't play, Joey Aguilar. I think that's the most surprising thing.
Yeah, John, it's definitely become very litigious. I'll just say it's great that that Basilio's not here because the handcuffs are off, and we actually get to engage with the great John Adams. I would argue that Tony's ego is so large that he was disappointed when the athletic department didn't announce that they were going to make a bust of him It wasn't disappointment with John Majors. It was Basilio thought they were going to have a bust of him in front of Neyland Stadium. What do you think about that, John?
I don't think Tony would say that on air, but I think he would say that in private to a lot of his callers on the phone. I think he would tell that to Titans Bill, and in so doing, prompt Titans Bill to call in and say, Tony, I don't understand why they don't have a bust of you. And I think he would make that. He would do that, manipulate things that way behind the scenes, not on air. But that's a really good call on your part to even bring that up.
Last two questions, and good answer on that, John. He's had a series of just horrendous takes. He thinks he's a takesman, and he is, I guess. But he's had a series of just horrendous takes. Of all his bad takes, can you think of one of the worst that you've heard or witnessed, John?
Gosh, boy, that's really hard to pick one. His takes on Joey Aguilar were really off base. His takes on Tennessee basketball last year being losers, really bad take. But here's the thing about Tony. Tony deals in volume. And another thing, he's brilliant when it comes to talk radio. And sometimes a bad take gets a greater response and more calls than a good take. And nobody's more aware of that than Tony.
John, well said. He's definitely the dean for a reason. I'm not sure the reason, but for a reason. On the way out, I'll hang up and listen, as they say in the trade. I'd like to ask Matt and Brian and you, John, what is the most annoying trait? There's many I know, but what is the most annoying trait about Basilio? You guys keep up at your next level. Outstanding.
Gosh, I'm sure you guys feel the same way I do about that question. It's really hard to hone in and say one quality is worse than the other. But probably the most annoying thing, I mentioned his lack of responding calls, is being on a call with Tony and talking to him and seemingly having a good exchange going, and all of a sudden he's talking to somebody else. He might be ordering something at a fast food place.
John, I like how you once were trying to talk to him, and then he would all of a sudden just start playing the guitar when you were trying to, in the middle of a serious conversation.
Yeah, you could have something pretty poignant going on, and then Tony just drifts off into Tony land, and it takes him a while to get back sometimes. Matt, what really annoys you the most about him? I know it's hard to single out one thing. I understand that, but what pops into your head when Taylor asked that question?
I'm with you. It's the multitasking and multiple conversations that he has at one time. But the overall, the way he basically multitasks his entire life, which I don't know how he does it, and he does it pretty well somehow. But the multitasking, which includes, as you said, having three different conversations going on while playing his guitar and eating at the same time, like I'm used to it now, so I don't let it bother me. But it used to bother me a lot.
Well, yeah, I agree. I wonder, what I would like to get a group I would like to hear from. It would be great if we could interview them. When Tony's out in a park playing whatever he plays, is it a mandolin he plays, or what is it, Brian? What does he play mostly?
I think it's the mandolin.
Okay. When he's out in the park sitting there playing just anywhere in Knoxville, the people if we could interview the people who observed him, if we could say, hey, I saw you walking in the park. You probably noticed this guy playing a mandolin out there. What did you think of him? I think that would be great radio if we could hear from that crowd. What did they think of this guy in the park playing a mandolin? And would you feel comfortable approaching him?
Let's go to our next caller. We're going to take two more calls here, and let's get our second to last with Danny. Danny, welcome in.
Hey guys, with Tony being, allowing y'all to have free reign today, has anybody called or has Tony, called about blaming Danny White at any point today? Because it's a daily show, and Danny White hasn't been blamed, so I figured I would bring that to the table.
No, we have not. There's not been a single mention of Danny White until you brought him up today.
Well, in Tony's absence, I figured I would, since he seemingly always has Danny White on his brain at any point to mention him.
Danny World.
What do you think Tony's worst Danny White take has been?
I don't know. I don't know where to start. But he just always it's just like anytime that he does something good, he tries to spin it to try to just further his hate for him. It's pretty rich. His hate for him. It runs strong.
Well, Brian, Matt, if I don't think of Tony as a hateful person. I do think, though, if hate makes for a good show, he will implement it.
Well, I think Danny White's personality and Tony's personality just kind of clash. There's a certain thing about Danny White that sort of makes him an easy target for someone like Tony to pick on. And I think that's what you're seeing part of it. I think that's part of it.
Well, that's fair. Danny White's, you think of Danny as being kind of stiff a little,
institutional guy. Tony skirts the rules. That's just, they clash.
Yeah, and Tony, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the most uninhibited people I've ever encountered. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. I won't go beyond that. Okay.
I think it was probably the take about Tony basically didn't have a good enough relationship with Danny White, and that was a reason. Or and then the Lady Ball stuff. That's why he left. I think that was just out of complete, varsity.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're saying there. You're saying, repeat that, would you?
Yeah, I think his worst Danny White take or whatever was thinking that he, when he was talking about the Lady Balls issues and everything, that's why Tony ultimately left.
Oh, when Tony Vitello left?
Vitello, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I don't think Tony Vitello and Danny White had a great relationship. However, I don't think they had any relationship to speak of. And so it was kind of like Tony Vitello didn't have a boss, which, as most people would admit, they would love doing a job and not having a boss.
He kind of earned the right to not really have a boss the way he won.
Yeah, that's what happens when you win a national championship. Yeah.
You are the boss.
Yeah.
Well, just a little bit of football take. I will say this much: I think it's a very healthy quarterback competition, and for the first time in a long time, I think the best guy will win, and I'm totally fine with that. There is no hidden agendas or anything. I'm truly looking forward to the best guy to win. Thanks for the platform. Love the show as always. Y'all have a good day and go Vols.
Thank you, Danny Boy, for calling. Let's go to our next call here. We've got Rusty Russell. Rusty, welcome in.
I'd like to take a stab at Taylor's question of, was it Tony's most annoying? What was it, John?
Yeah, what annoyed us most about Tony. There's a long list, and that's frankly, that's a 5-hour show, but it was kind of hard to pinpoint one. But sure, go ahead and address that.
Sure. I mean, I think it can be summed up in one. It's how humble he is.
Yeah. I like that. And I get the sarcasm. No, I get the sarcasm.
No, how dare you? So yeah, that's about all I had for today. Hope Tony gets back safe. Thank you guys for doing what you did today. It's been fun, and take care. GBO.
Thank you, Rusty. If you have time to, I think we've got some time for maybe a call or two. We've got 6.5 minutes left in the show. 865-200-5402. We've got John Adams presented by Keller Williams Realty and Jennifer Morris, Matt Dixon, Brian Hartman on myself, along with John for the Festivus. I'm going to go ahead and put another call up. I'm going to take a chance here. Who do we have? Hello.
Oh. Hey, is it me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I was just wondering, when does the geophysical year of the caller actually start? We hear about that a lot. I think you guys have taken probably 3 shows worth of calls today alone. And I wonder why that would be. Are we missing somebody from the show today that would lead to that?
Maybe that's just coincidental, because as Tony has said over and over on his show, he loves callers, and we've been hearing that for years. I said, I think in starting out this year, Tony pronounced it as the geophysical year of the caller, and I asked, I said, well, Tony, wasn't last year the geophysical year of the caller, and wasn't the year before that the geophysical year of the caller, and the one before that? And Tony just started talking about something else.
I think those must have all been leap years. You know, I can't. I mean, I wonder what the ratio is of back to the phones we go versus calls actually being taken. I would love to. Maybe we could have AI kind of break that down, like how many times that's said. I'm going to say like 10-1. I can't tell you how many times he's asked, me to call in, and I call, and back to the phones we go, and 45 minutes later the show's ended, and I've just been listening to the show with my phone up to my ear thinking, well, maybe next time, Drew, maybe next time you can get in there, big guy.
Tony's favorite quarterback should be Matthew Stafford, because Matthew Stafford does this one thing better than any quarterback I've ever seen. He looks one way and throws another. We've seen that a lot in basketball, but he's perfected that in football. Tony, he talks one way, but then goes another way. And as you mentioned, he craves callers, but he doesn't give a microphone to them.
Drew, got anything
else? You
else?
heard my surprise. I called, and I didn't even have time to disconnect from CarPlay and put up the phone to my ear, and I was already on the air. And that has to be some sort of geophysical record for this show, I would think.
I tell you, it probably is, but I tell you what you should do if you want to get more airtime. If Brian says, let's go to the next caller, and you begin your call by strumming a mandolin, or humming a song, or even singing one.
Or you have your TV really, really loud where he can hear it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And what worked? What? Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, John, please. I interrupted.
Okay. Well, I just think that Titans Bill has figured that out. That's why before Titans Bill calls the show, he turns up his television extremely loud. So it's almost deafening.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think maybe Tony appreciates the fact that Titans Bill is multitasking as well. Maybe he, really appreciates that in William and the way that he's able to do that, and that they're kind of like minds in that sense,
Yeah, I've got one more tip for callers, for you or anybody else.
Drew, we appreciate the call.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Okay. Yeah, Brian, I think if a caller would begin the conversation with, hey, Tony, I was out in the park the other day playing and then insert your favorite musical instrument, I think it would assure you of getting more airtime.
Let's wrap it up with Roberto. Roberto, welcome in. You'll be the final caller.
Mr. Adams, thanks you guys for always being there. This was fun. I really enjoyed today's show. I have to agree with caller Drew. The collar piece was really good, and I just enjoyed every subject you guys talked about. Now, I think I typically the only thing that I missed is all my obscure 1970s R&B references, guys. I don't think you threw enough of those in, John. How do you feel about that?
I'm not as good as nearly as good as Tony on obscure lyrics of songs nobody ever heard of.
Tony's a big B-sides guy, that's for sure.
Okay, Titans Bill can handle a conversation like that. I can't.
Well, guys, I really appreciate you. I know you're coming up against it, so I'll just jump and say thanks for always being there. And if Faison Brandon is even, he's got to be leaving. He's got to take the job. See you.
Thanks for the call, Roberto. And, John, that's going to wrap up the Basilio Festivus 2026. And we appreciate your sticking in there with us. And, Matt, same to you. Any final thoughts, guys? As I guess that was John's final thought. John, disengage. Matt?
No, good show, fun show. Always good to have Festivus in August. But I guess if you want the R&B stuff, Bino will be on tomorrow, but listen anyway.
Yeah, listen anyway. That's right. Bino and myself will be on tomorrow from 11 to 1. Bino does not work overtime, so I don't think we'll be going past 1. Tony be back in terra firma on Monday, so stay tuned then. As we wrap it up here on a Thursday edition, Brian Hartman signing off with John Adams, presented by Keller Williams Realty. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your attention, and we will see you tomorrow.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio. You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
We're coming to your town. We'll help you party down. We're an American band today on the air. I got the great Cinco with me. It's unbelievable, Andy. Brian Hartman alongside. The question is, now that we get here, right? How and what is the point